The 2PM Newscast
with ABEL BELA SAMARI.
It is Monday, July the 3rd, 2023. Good afternoon, blessed people. Welcome to Royal Afternoon Edition, the 2 p.m. newscast, coming to you from Royal 88.4 FM, Ali Stories. Preparation heightening up ahead of July 9, 2023 raffle draw ceremony at the Yaoundé Multipurpose Sports Complex as mutualists get set for that day. But what are mutualists expected to do?
They form as the head office, and which some of them are already available at their various branches. Especially us here, their fishes are already available, so the majority of the mutualists can pass by and collect their fishes.
And still to come in this edition of our 2 p.m. newscast, Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute defend the government position over the issuing of ID cards in Cameroon. In sports, is Cameroon football in reigns? That is the question Evans William Jobati will be seeking an answer when he joined me in the studio with our Monday Spot 5. Stay tuned for this and more. Good afternoon once again. My name is ABEL BELA SAMARI. We will open the news with a special page on the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity MASO.
MASO, the special page in the news.
And joining me in the studio is Eratus Nduye. Good afternoon to you, Eratus.
Good afternoon, ABEL BELA SAMARI.
Thousands of mutualists have run off with their contribution and registration into the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity MASO Act 3 to stand a chance of benefiting from the grandeur and substantial raffle draw ceremony that will take place in less than 6 days at the Yaoundé Multipurpose Sports Complex. In prelude to that day, you, Eratus Nduye, you visited the Renapro Finance SA Central Agency to know the level of activities reigning there, and you package this report for us.
Relatively timid and calm, the Renapro Finance SA Center Agency, situated at the Meuble Jaco, less crowded unlike it was few days ago when one could barely walk through the corridors without trespassing on one's toe or look at his peer with a gloomy countenance. Cheney Rosemary is one of the customer service of that agency, and she says she talks on the availability of the registration forms.
They form as the head office, and which some of them are already available at their various branches. Especially us here, their fishes are already available, so the majority of the mutualists can pass by and collect their fishes.
As July 9 gradually grows closer, many have already grabbed their document that will give them access to the multipurpose sport complex that day, though others have since the early hours of today been collecting theirs at the agency.
Since this morning, I've received about 3 of them because their majority who would like to be at the Palais des Sports on the 9th of July. So we are really calling up on others that haven't collected their fish to come up and collect their fish because they are already available.
Backing home or open to diverse offers, the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity permits mutualists to back home with cars, gas cookers and what have you. But according to rules, most have solicited for financial assistance for one reason or the other.
In our country, we need finances in order to finance our businesses. So majority of the mutualists wanted finances, and I really wish and I hope will be given to them in order to boost up their businesses.
She went ahead to talk about some of the innovation being made for next year's act.
For now, the Act number 4 has been relaxed immediately, starting from this Monday. So though we don't have yet much mutualists, we are still waiting and calling on them to come and start on their number 4 Act because it's already operational.
The multipurpose sport complex is therefore ready to host all our sundry on July 9th and even give chance to novice to start taking their names for the MASO Act 4.
Eratus Nduye, as you get it in that report, MASO Act 4 has already been launched. You can rush to any Renapo Finance SA agency to register yourself into the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity MASO. We have 27 agencies in Cameroon, 13 of them in the capital city Yaoundé. Just go to any of them and become a member of the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity MASO as we stand to valorize our African culture. And talking about valorizing our African culture, the day -6, and we all shall be celebrating the beauty of African solidarity through the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity MASO Actory. The different artists who have preached the MASO gospel through music and song all says they are set for the Papozi show. Our own cultural lady Mapala Zita has been talking to them and compiled their view in the following report.
Most, if not all, the MASO artists, as they are fondly called to say, they are very ready. Cedric Benny on phone said he and his dancers have already mastered all their dance steps ahead of July the 9th.
La mutuelle d'assistance et de solidarité, un véritable soutien pour l'humanité.
For Kaze Gaitan, he is promising mutualist an exciting ceremony where all those of the small business sector will recognize themselves and have the fun of their lives. Similarly, Sami Tawambo has also affirmed that July the 9th will be an unforgettable day as he is in top form for the show.
Mettons-nous ensemble et nous serons victorieux. Debout, 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 tout le monde. Adhérons-nous tous à la maçon.
And of course, the author of the MASO anthem will also be there to enchant the song of solidarity to the dancing pleasure of mutualists and all who will be present at the event. These MASO artists are thus inviting everyone to join them at the Yaoundé Multipurpose Sports Complex this Sunday to celebrate African unity.
MASO, that was the special page in the news.
And if you are joining us, you are on to Royal 88.4 FM. It is Royal Afternoon Edition, the 2 p.m. newscast, coming to you from Royal 88.4 FM and still to come in the course of this newscast.
We have machines everywhere. Everything that we can do can have it just a twinkle of an eye. But in Cameroon, one will have to go for a long process to have to make an identity card.
Talking about the COVID-19 mismanagement and the stadium mismanagement, you have to also understand that there is what we call separation of power in Cameroon.
We talk parliamentary news in this edition to say Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute has clarified parliamentarians on some preoccupation addressed to him by lawmakers of the lower house of the National Assembly during last Friday plenary sitting chaired by the first Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Hilarion Etone. Our reporter Jementa come back on these relevant issues of concerning affecting Cameroonians with some political analysts as well as economists. Take a listen to her report.
Issues such as the financing of community health workers and community health services, unreasonable delays in the production of identity cards, and the need to bring to book presumed persons involved in the mismanagement of COVID-19 funds and the constructions of stadium to host the AFCON were major issues highlighted by Honorable Jume Peter and Ninche. The Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute did not hesitate to call on local authorities who employ community health workers to take their responsibilities and give them the vital role they play in the local health centers, a reaction which did not leave these political analysts Dr. Bamenjo Herman and Petrango George indifferent.
It was imperative for the issue of the community health services to be raised because we have seen a lot of corruption. We have seen the interference of government, interference of some stakeholders into the management of community health services. As a result of that, for an effective community health service management, there is need for that neutrality. There is need for effective decentralization of the powers that be.
If the Prime Minister has blamed hitches in logistic chains and delays in delivering the national identity cards, as well as uncivic behavior practiced by some Cameroonians when they need the ID cards, the political analyst Petronga George outlines some facts.
We have machines everywhere. Everything that we can do can have it just a twinkle of an eye. But in Cameroon, one will have to go for a long process to have to make an identity card. And it will take 2 to 3 years for the identity card to come out. I think if the people are reacting, it's because they are fed up with the system. So the government also have to be blamed, because the government should put in all available resources, the material resources, the financial resources at the level of those that are in charge with the issuance of the ID card.
And in regard with the mismanagement of COVID-19 phones and stadium constructed for the AFCON, Dr. Baminjo Herman cross-checked on the Prime Minister's outing, who emphasized that executive does not handle issues reserved for the judiciary.
About the COVID-19 mismanagement and the stadium mismanagement, you have to also understand that there is what we call separation of power in Cameroon, and the judiciary is independent of the executive, and the executive is independent of the judiciary. However, separation of this power are not actually effective, as you have interference into their functioning, and that is why the members of parliament had to question this, because we have what we commonly called the COVID gate.
The economist Polycarp Chinwitala looks at the impact linked to this mismanagement of funds.
A lot of resources were reallocated to combat these health problems. So therefore, accountability from the executive branch and the judiciary branch to sanction those who practice a lot of corruption during this period is very, very vital for the stability of the country. The construction of the AFCON stadium as well, we need a lot of accountability because huge sums of money and a lot of the budget was allocated for these purposes.
Notwithstanding, the Prime Minister reassured government commitment to tackle corruption in Cameroon.
Jementa, in that report, during his presentation at the National Assembly plenary sitting, Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute said the delayed observed in issuing ID cards to applicants stem from the need to preserve Cameroon's nationality. A student journalist on internship here at Royal FM, Mondomo Erika, went down the streets of Yaoundé to question some Cameroonians on what they think of the intervention of the Prime Minister on the issue of ID cards in Cameroon.
Just as the Prime Minister said, the delay in issuing identity cards is to preserve Cameroonian nationality. But the main problem comes from the producers. Those responsible for producing these cards are quite slow, and that's the main problem for us the citizens. To get your ID card now is another deal, even when the cards are out. Public service has to be free of charge, but you sometimes have to pay in order to get your card, even though you've paid for it a long time ago. It has to change.
I admire the intervention of the Prime Minister, but it will not be enough. Since the problem is also the date of issue of the identity card, it takes a lot of time. We are talking about years where you have a receipt only.
That is a great step taken by the Prime Minister, the head of government, but he didn't take into consideration during the production of this ID card other aspects such as when you go to the police station, you complain that your ID card is missing or you want to produce another ID card. Only for the production process, it will take you days. Then you spend most of your time doing documents, and when you have the receipt of the ID card, for the original to come out, it will make years. There are some that make more than 2 years, 4 years. They only renew it every month.
During Friday plenary session at the National Assembly, 7 MPs then put questions to the acting Minister of Mine, Industry and Technological Development, Mr. Fu Kalitus Gentry. One of them is Honorable Adamu Edwards of Nwa, who had this to say.
For giving me the floor, Your Excellency. A lot of discoveries have come up of late, as my predecessor just said here, including my area of origin too, that's Doma Manto. I hope when things have been put into practice, my area too should be thought about it.
And equally in response, the minister then gives response to each of the questions raised by the different MPs. Take a listen to what he has to say.
Honorable wants to know the future of results. Well, we can say with some, we have very huge cash results, 174 trillion 2030 is the estimate for gas. And while I'll be very modest and saying that we have 251,395 barrels as medium reserves, but the industry is dynamic. So a lot of companies are opening up new fields of exploration, and I wouldn't dare here to give you definitive results because people are expanding and these figures will be revised every time.
And to tell you that Cameroon will henceforth start producing its own ammunition, and the industry to manufacture these weapons will be implanted in the town of Garwa in the north region of Cameroon. The information was revealed by the minister delegate at the presidency of the Republic in charge of defense, Joseph Betia Somo, at the National Assembly last Friday, June the 30th, 2023. Following this information, Finwe Crispin interviewed geostrategists on the negative and positive impact of this innovative. Take a listen to her report.
The geostrategist Dr. Aban Kalistus begins by affirming that producing its own ammunition is both a blessing and a curse for the country. But first, he kickstarts with the advantages.
It is a blessing because huge sums of money, billions of CFA francs, have been spent in the purchase of ammunition from the developed world. Weapons used in the war against Boko Haram in the far north region. The weapons used against the secessionists in the English-speaking region have cost the state huge sums of money because the developed world sell very expensively to developing countries.
However, the expert also attests that this initiative may nurse hostilities and fear in the citizens and neighboring countries.
We discovered that some empirical studies have argued that armed race can be associated with an increased likelihood of war. However, it is not also possible to say whether the manufacturing of this ammunition will itself cause a war or merely a symptom of existing tension.
Dr. Aban Kalistus further outlines other negative effects of creating an ammunition company in Cameroon.
It will also give way to the highway robbers to be constantly arming themselves against citizens, given that they will no more have to export or import the arms or ammunition they use in their operation.
Worth recalling that, according to the Minister of Defense, the ammunition company will be set up in Garwa North region.
Finwe Crispin in that report. Away from parliamentary news, we talk economic in this edition to say the executive board of the International Monetary Fund IMF have completed the fourth review of Cameroon's foreign support program. The 3-year blended agreement under the Extended Credit Facility, the ECF, and the Extended Fund Facility, the EFF, approved on July the 29, 2021, seek to support the country's economic and financial reforms program. Now, how can the finalization of this phase be explained, and why the use of IMF, despite the denunciation of his modus operandi? That is the question Christelle Mando have been pondering upon with an economist. Take a listen to her report.
The economist Chumulu Ujin starts by explaining the finalization of the fourth review of the Cameroon's fund-supported program by the International Monetary Fund.
I think that everybody that does something, no matter how bad it is or no matter how good it is, the person has a reason for doing what he or she is doing. And so IMF is just doing that because he has a benefit that it gets from its members. And so that benefit, we can talk about interest rate, you can talk about the taxes they are benefiting from, you can talk about maintaining a relationship.
For this fund-supported program, the IMF has disbursed about $73.6 million to Cameroon, according to the economist Chabi Protus. This is to help the country economically.
There are some preconditions that those countries demanding for loans need to satisfy, and the IMF need to be sure that those conditions are really fulfilled, because the objective is not only to grant the loan, but also to help the country to step up to achieve growth in their various economies.
Despite the denunciation of the methods of this body, Cameroon still went ahead to contract a loan. For the economist Chabi Protus, the reason is that the country was satisfied with the conditions.
With Cameroon soliciting IMF, it shows that they are satisfied with the conditions and they were d'accord with the conditions, and that is why they went for IMF other than maybe considering other means.
However, Cameroon has the money and have to make good use of it.
Christian Mando in that report. Just to take you to this note to tell you that the Minister of Public Work, Emmanuel Ngano Jumesi, is on a working visit to the northwest and west regions to evaluate progress made on some ongoing road projects, including the Babaju-Bamenda road, the Bamenda-Bambui, as well as the Fumban-Matapi-Kupe-Maniguba stretch of road. The exercise runs from today, the 3rd of July, and will wrap up on the 5th of July 2023. The three projects will greatly contribute to the objective set by President Paul Biya for several hundred kilometers of roads to be constructed and achieved this year. Cameroon today joined other nations to celebrate the International Plastic Free Day, which is aimed at raising awareness about the harmful impact of single-use plastic bags on the environment. The day serves as a reminder to individuals, communities, and business worldwide to reduce their reliance on plastic bags and find more sustainable solutions, as the day is being observed every July the 3rd. Our newsroom equally through our student journalists on internship, but Bridget questioned some vendors on why they still use non-degradable plastic bag instead of degradable plastic bag. Take a listen to what they have to say in the following Vox Pop.
They have said these things are not good. The government said we should not use it. Quite all right. But people are still using it. Why? It's because they have not given another option that can be used. They cannot say don't use waffle, but they have not given any alternative that the friends can use. So that's why you see people tend to start using the plastic bag because they don't have any other.
Biodegradable. It's too expensive. That's why we always use plastic of 50 francs. It's cheaper because when you use it, more available. Those big ones they are very scared.
When we are selling, we don't even care. We just any plastic that we comes on our way, we buy it, especially when it's cheap. And I believe that biodegradable plastic are very expensive compared to the usual plastic that we use. We're only used to using it, so when we use it, we are okay with it. The quantity, the amount of stuff it can handle, I think degradable plastic cannot handle it. So that's why we still continue using it, and it can last. I think it's stronger.
And we equally called an expert in environmental issues as Akisal S. Ella, who will talk on the impact of plastic bag to the society.
Plastic bags have more of a negative impact in our society than a positive one. For example, when we use plastic bags and are not properly disposed of in the environment, they cause maybe harm to our soil. So we have poor agricultural inputs because the roots of the plant cannot circulate really well with the plastic bags being in the soil. They cause pollution, they cause blockage of our drainage channels because a plastic bag takes so long to degrade, about 100 years. So it's going to be there for so long, depending on the quality of the plastic bag. Depending on what type of plastic was used to make the plastic bag. There are plastic bags of lower categories of very light density polyethylene and high density polyethylene. So depending on the category of the plastic bag, it has a time for degradation, which is not always very soon. This is why they are a major problem in our environment. In order to control excess plastic bag in our environment, the government can place bans on these plastic bags, either high taxes or restrict the importation, while providing an alternative packaging mean for the industries, for the companies. Also, they can put in place the policy of recollecting the plastic bags and recycling. For example, if you buy something in a plastic bag and maybe you come back with 10 or 50 of such plastic bags, they might give you a free something just to reward you for recollecting them. They could recollect those plastic bags and recycle them so they should not be disposed of anyhow in in the environment. Such policies can help to control the negative impacts of the plastic bag in our environment.
And we'll take you to the societal information to say inhabitants of Minifem in Melong neighborhood here in Yaoundé 6 subdivision have reacted negatively following the closure of their snack bars and other drinking spots last Thursday, June the 29th, 2023. The suspension to last for a period of 1 month was taken by the divisional officer of Yaoundé 6, Joseph Alain Etudi, who, due to the high state of insecurity that led to the murder of a gendarmerie officer in that particular neighborhood. Student journalists on internship, Ebanda Leo and Darin Wasiri went down to the streets of Minifem to gather the impression of the population. Take a listen to what they have to say in the following Vox Pop.
Now, our activity is not going because of the problem that happens quarter. It's over 1 week. They have locked all the miss bar or bear, something like that. That makes the quarter to be movable. Our income is too low. Even daytime, you see daytime outside is just like that. People are not leaving the quarter again. We don't have much customer as before. In the evening, as for 7:30, let us 8 o'clock, everybody have locked down.
Locking down of beer parlors doesn't affect me in any way. But in terms of hotels and beach, it disturbs us a lot because even we are living there, we are living here. For you to have a game entrance to enter a house is a disaster.
Out of the country, first up in Nigeria, where Nigeria government have adopted a new law of giving loan to poor Nigerian families in order to send their children to university. They have a chance to review their dreams as the government says it will begin to pay the tuition fee of people from such background. However, many questions have been raised about this scheme, but President Bola Tinubu has cried out a draft of reforms at lightening peace ending fuel subsidies, devaluating it in the Naira, sacking the heads of the central bank and security chief, and his latest aim of revamping the Nigeria economy. We should take you out of the country to say the Senegalese opposition leader Ousmane Sonko has called on the population, the people of Senegal, to come out en masse to protest against President Macky Sall's seeking a third term in office. The incumbent is scheduled to give a speech later to announce whether he will run for the presidential election due in 2024. Legal experts say no one would violate the Senegalese constitution. Furthermore, Sonko was given a sentence to a 2-year in prison for crimes of corruption youth in Senegal, and clashes ever since Ousmane Sonko was sentenced has disrupted the peaceful atmosphere in Senegal. We move over to Kenya to say Kenya President William Ruto has uplifted a ban on lodging imposed 6 years ago. He said the move was overdue, citing the need to create jobs and open up sectors in the Kenyan economy. We'll take you to Talk Sports. And joining me in the studio with our Monday Sport Files, Evans William Jobati. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, ABEL BELA SAMARI.
Let's talk cricket. We begin with cricket, where the Cameroon Cricket Federation opened today the joint national Cricket League and the Cup of Cameroon at the Lycée de Clerc neighborhood here in Yaoundé.
The tournament, which counts for both the Cricket Domestic League and Cameroon Cup, started since 8 a.m. this morning with 12 teams in the men's category and 10 others from the women's category competing at the Lycée General Leclerc Secondary School here in Yaoundé. The tournament will run from today 3rd to Saturday the 22nd July 2023 and will also act as a displaying ground for the promotion of the discipline in Cameroon, Abel.
Yes, so from cricket, let's talk the Nambudu. And Cameroon is the champion when it comes to CEMAC.
Being the host nation to the 4th edition of the CEMAC International Tournament Cup, which saw Cameroon come out as overall first with 18 medals, of which 15 are gold, at the Fandena Gymnasium yesterday, 2nd July, marked the country's 4th title as Nambudu African champions for the past editions now. Meanwhile, the president of the Cameroonian Nambudu Federation, Professor Justine Difo, used the opportunity to thank Burundi for their special participation and also spoke to the delightment of Federation's victory in the zone. Let us listen to her.
We are really happy to here today to thank the Burundi, which this evening, who is the second place, who have the second place after Cameroon, 5 gold medals, and Cameroon 15 gold medal over 20. We are very happy at the end of this tournament, which was the first edition. We are already seeing at the horizon how to organize the African Championship of Nambudo next year, 2024. I hope and I'm expecting a very, very, very good championship to honor our country, which President Paul Biya is the 5th Dan of Nambudo since 1984.
Evans William Jobati, I want us to talk football, and we'll begin with the women football to say Cameroon military lionesses will play Germany on the ongoing military World Cup that is taking place in the Netherlands.
The girls of coach Josephine Mike Dumu, after making 2 successful entries at the set competition, with the latest being their 4-2 win over the United States of America, now occupy the first position on their Group C table. As such, signifies qualifications to the semi-final round of the military women's World Cup competition in the Netherlands. Meanwhile, ABEL Cameroon has defeated Germany by thrashing them 4-0. The goals came in through the lights of Confidence, Brenda Tabe and Eto Naomi, hence qualifying for the next round with a total of 9 points collected. ABEL.
Yes, before you go, there's this question I want to ask you, Evans William Jobati. Is Cameroon football in wings?
As we already know, ABEL Fecafoot has already suspended its 4th vice president, Henry Jalakwan Jr., after his numerous outing accusing Cameroon Football Federation of corruption and discrimination. Let us listen to Henry Jalakwan, who spoke minutes before his suspension by Fecafoot in this press release.
You see, when I was talking about divide and rule, we're in the midst of a crisis. You have a vice president who has expressed frustrations publicly. Those may be wrong as they claim. And instead of trying to calm down the situation, what do? You call a secret emergency meeting in Limbe. Coming to a town where you have your own vice president. Posted a picture earlier, initial, where I said the shocking refereeing decision which we saw my suffering last Wednesday as a result of my position didn't benefit the president. So, Mr. President, the almighty president Fecafoot, who does absolutely nothing wrong, who is the only one who gets offended all the time.
In the same light, we also cornered a football expert in Brian Biwa, who attempts answers to the different happenings in the federation as he speaks.
Well, talking the 4th vice president of Fecafoot was suspended recently, and other officials to Fecafoot who were suspended, who had others who had resigned. Well, I would not really say they were doing so because of jealousy, because it won't benefit them, it won't profit them anything. If you look at the situation of Harry Jalakwan, I think his points were very clear, and I think as of now he has a multitude of the population behind him.
Thank you very much, Evans William Jobati, for our Monday Spotfire. As you unseat yourself, let's welcome Dema Olivier Epo. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, ABEL BELA SAMARI. Ce lundi 3 juillet est la journée mondiale sans sac plastique. Cette journée existe depuis l'année 2010 et a pour but de sensibiliser les populations sur les effets néfastes du plastique sur l'environnement. Au Cameroun, les emballages non biodégradables ne sont en principe pas autorisés depuis plusieurs années. La réalité est cependant autre au quotidien. Les emballages plastiques qui ont disparu juste quelques temps après la loi anti-plastique sont de retour et ont pignon sur rue. Le Cameroun va se doter bientôt d'une usine de fabrication de munitions. L'annonce a été faite par le Premier ministre, par le ministre de la Défense, Joseph Betty Assomo, devant le Parlement. La région du Nord est pressentie pour abriter cette usine, dont l'installation est imminente. Nous restons dans le sillage du Parlement et notamment de l'Assemblée nationale. Joseph John Gouté était le week-end dernier face à la Chambre basse du Parlement. Il était question de donner des précisions sur la gestion des fonds Covid-19, les infrastructures de la CAN 2021, ainsi que le problème de la carte nationale d'identité. À présent, nous parlons de sport. Concours d'entrée en élite Tour de football masculin. La date du lancement du tournoi Interpol 2023 approche. Les Interpol vont se disputer du 15 au 30 juillet à Yaoundé. Pour l'heure, ce sont les barrages qui se disputent dans les 10 ligues régionales pour la désignation des 10 champions régionaux qui vont prendre part aux Interpol. 2 ligues régionales connaissent leurs champions depuis le week-end dernier. Sporting de Maroua va représenter l'extrême nord. Ngaoundéré FC est le champion de la Damawa. Les résultats dans les autres régions seront connus le week-end dernier. Toujours Restons en sport. Coupe du monde militaire de football féminin 2023, c'est aux Pays-Bas. Le Cameroun enregistre sa 3e victoire en 3 sorties. Les filles de Mike Ndoumou ont pris le dessus sur la sélection allemande 4-0. Le Cameroun est leader du groupe C avec 9 points sur 9 possibles. Lors des 2 précédentes journées, les Camerounaises avaient dominé la Belgique 2-0 et les États-Unis 4-2. Les Camerounaises disputeront les demi-finales de ce tournoi qui s'achève le 9 juillet. ABEL.
Thank you very much, Dema Olivier Epo, for that summary in the French language. It is here that we wrap up this edition of our 2 p.m. newscast. The team that keep you company is made up of Romele Kumera, sound engineer, plus our copyright clerk, Jean-Marie Otto, our video editor on our Facebook/YouTube page, UIFM Cameroon. The news was produced by Finwe Crispy, news edited by Jementa. Coordination was done by Director General Jean-Pascal Antala. General supervision was ensured by Reverend Pastor Bisai Emmanuel Noy. For presentation and editorial coaching, my name is ABEL Bela Samari, and sitting next to me is Raisa Parker, who is here for the second part of Fresh Air. We are going to have the Pash Pratik. It's going to be there, plenty of good music, and equally topic for you to debate on. Good afternoon once again, Raisa.
Good afternoon, Abel. C'est ça. Ce que tu as dit là, c'est ça.
Tous.
À tout à l'heure.
À tout à l'heure.